Hi Etty, thank you for uploading your homework and your photo shoot. Let's jump in. This picture we wrote, the first one was take a picture of a scene where the evaluative metering system of the camera would clearly get the wrong exposure. So I'm assuming that this is the camera. Let's just see what you shot in. You shot in aperture priority. The truth is the camera actually did quite well. This is, I don't know if you were set 1 second, you were at matrix metering. Okay, so this is not actually an example of where the camera got a wrong exposure. The background, she's got a dark top with dark hair. This area here is bright, and this area here is a mid-tone, which add it all together basically, and the camera came out doing quite well. The blurriness is because you're at a 50th of a second. Remember that? That can't be. So you would have to really be at an 800th of a second, because 800 ISO, a 50th of a second can't cut. You can't take pictures at a 50th of a second, as you've proven here. It needs to be quicker than that. If you are going to be shooting at a 50th of a second, you have to hold your camera dead still. Which means breathing in with all the things we spoke about, hand in close, keeping your hand underneath, hand in close, pushing the camera hard against your face, breathing in, and then at the moment before you breathe out, take the picture. Okay, it's too much to think about that when you're taking pictures. But anyway, that's the reason why this picture isn't sharp. Okay, this is great. This is a nice shot. This is the example of a silhouette at daytime, where obviously the light levels on our subject here were much lower than in the sky, and it's beautiful the way you just caught the eyelash in the profile, and there's a teeny little bit of light that's just made that very beautiful. I would think that we would add quite a lot to this image by doing something a bit like this. That's a very beautiful picture. That really is a very special picture. Nice one. Anyway, so that's explaining a silhouette that we can take in the day where we have a much brighter background and a darker foreground. And you nailed the focus, as we saw just before. That's perfect. You're at 1.8, 400 ISO, 1,000th of a second. Great. You could have been at a 200 ISO, 500th of a second, but it doesn't make such a big difference. Your camera was fine. Great. Excellent. Okay, now I think you just labeled these wrongly, because this is meant to be a comparable exposure and this one's meant to be a different exposure. So let's just call this one the comparable, because this one is comparable. This is a great example. You fixed the problem from before, which was this picture, which was 400, and you've gone to 800 ISO. You're at 200th of a second. And see, your camera at an 800, the T6 does not do so well at 800 ISO. In regards to the focus, I think it was that maybe you didn't hold the camera steady enough. I can't see for sure, but it could be that the camera's still at 200th of a second. You have to be completely, you have to hold the camera completely still. Compositionally, crop a little bit off of here and bring a little bit in over here, I think, to put her on the third. But in regards to a comparable exposure, this is exactly what we're looking for. The exposure of the background is basically the same exposure as the foreground. And we see from here the exact opposite, where this is an example of a different exposure, not comparable, where the background here is much brighter than our foreground. This kind of picture is what we're trying to avoid. These white areas, these like white empty spaces, allow for or cause a lot of energy to kind of pour out from the picture. It's really, we really want to be avoiding that. So great, that's perfectly demonstrated. Okay, now the fun bit. Let's get into your photo shoot. Excellent. This is a great shot. This is for your website. Fantastic. I love this picture. Beautifully framed, great expressions. All this gorgeous texture and color is just added so much to the image. We're completely synced with our subject. Great eye contact. Good composition in regards to the actual posing. If maybe she put her hand around her shoulder, it could be if this girl with the glasses was hugging this girl without the glasses, like around her, that way it could add a little bit maybe. This is potentially an issue, but it's too, I mean, it would be better if you broke it off, but it really doesn't make such a big difference. That is an excellent, excellent picture. That is for sure one for your website. Excellent, excellent. Okay, so yeah, this graphic, try and think like a master chef, like, you know, when they taste, they taste the food, and they go, try and look at things graphically and try and taste the level of its graphic level. So these strong lines, vertical lines, add a lot of energy, but the color, the grey and it just doesn't. I would avoid this. The only way that I would be able to maybe think that this might be worth something would be to move all the way round and to create a very dynamic perspective of this gate. But as it is, I would much rather see this picture without the gate in front of these girls, basically. What could be nice is to have them both lying kind of flat on the floor without the gate and have this girl with her arm around the other girl, something like that. But I don't think you're actually adding anything with this picture. Be aware that there's one thing that I always say to my students is don't get bored with people's faces, basically, in that photographers a lot of the time will be trying to do like new, wacky, interesting things, which is great, that's fine. But don't forget that your clients just want to see the much more important than like wacky things going on is they just want to see beautiful smiles, great interactions, well exposed, sharp images. So keep that in mind. I don't think personally this is such a great, this doesn't add anything to the picture. But I do appreciate the idea of trying to think out of the box, which is great. But don't get bored with just getting, really classy, sophisticated, sharp, clean, well lit, nicely posed portrait photography. Okay, this is better. This is more my kind of thing. They're beautifully posed. This, with the girl with the glasses to put her hand around this girl here, I think would bind the subject together. This is not ideal. This heavy kind of browny burgundy kind of iron graphically it doesn't have much, but I do understand that it'd be very difficult to get away from that. I do appreciate the posing on these rocks. It's a great place. We've got a nice triangle here. Again, like I said, if she just put her arm around this girl here, that would add a lot to it. Stats wise, perfect. If you were using my camera, a full frame camera, 1.8 would not be okay. One of these girls would probably be out of focus. But when you're using a crop camera like a T6 Rebel kind of camera, you end up with a longer depth of field. So at 1.8 you're fine. Both subjects are sharp. Just see focus wise, it looks like you've got see the focus is a little bit forward. So they're not pin sharp, but that's not because the depth of field was incorrect. It's because the focus was just a little bit too far forward, but it's not really such a big deal. I would definitely warm this picture up in post. We might take this one into Lightroom. Let's have a look. But I do definitely appreciate the posing. Like I said, for her to put her arm around this girl, I think would bind the two girls together a little bit better. But great, lovely shot. Okay, this is nice. I appreciate the movement into space. Very good. A bit like empty, like this area, it's just a bit empty. Let's see what would happen if we crop in closer. Something more like this. I think this is probably a little bit better. Let's just keep it manual. Good. At 1.8, again, with my camera, it would probably be a problem with a full frame camera, but you've gotten away with it. You have enough depth of field to keep both the girls sharp. Oh, this is interesting. You see this green and purple around your tree. That's called chromatic aberration. It's a fault there. The cheaper lenses do it more, but I still get it. I get it very obviously. You can get rid of it quite quickly in Lightroom, but I do appreciate the direction moving across. I would rather have some kind of interaction really between my subjects, like maybe her hugging her, something like that. But nice shot, nice shot. Okay, oh, this is very nice. Okay, 1.8, 200 at a 1/25th of a second. I would probably be at a 400th of a second. Sorry, at 400 ISO at a 250th of a second. Sharp wise, I think it's because the shutter speed was a drop slow. I love this. This is very beautiful. A beautiful moment, beautiful expressions. Really adds a lot of energy. The fact that her shoulders are up is very cute, makes it very nice. I love the bokeh in the background. This is as good as it's going to get from your lens. You've chosen a good background. The girls pop out. This is nice that the light just allows her to pop out here and also over here. That's great. Okay, this is a lovely shot. Let's take. Oh, this is a great picture. Really a great picture. I think let's take this one into post. I'm just going to do just a couple of slight adjustments, but really you nailed it. I think this is your best shot so far. This is pardon me. This should for sure go onto your website. We're going to crop in a teeny bit just to make sure that it's perfectly centered, just like that. Now I want to add. See, I think we're actually just going to add to the outside, not to the actual subject. We'll keep them. Going to invert here, and I want to. I'm not actually so sure. Let's have a look. Are we going to drop the clarity down? Or are we going to drop the clarity up? We're going to drop the clarity down a little bit. I want to add some more saturation. I just want to saturate this green. There we go. That's great. Okay, I'm going to brighten up their faces a teeny drop. Right now there's no effect, but let's just a teeny little bit. Good. I'm going to create a new brush and bring out their hair with a bit of clarity. Just slight. Okay, and I want to bring in a little bit of a vignette. Beautiful. And then obviously we're just going to emphasize the eyes very quickly. Press space, it allows you to zoom in. Just slightly, let's get rid of auto mask. Be careful. Okay, that's good. If I hold space now, it will allow me to move my picture. Just slightly over there and there. Okay, let's see. We went from this to this. Very subtle, but a slight improvement. Amazing, you've done fantastically. Okay, like I said, just in the final analysis of everything, don't get bored with classic, clean photography. Okay, keep doing as you're doing, concentrating on posing. We've got the posing class out right now, where there's a voucher right now that you can get it for free. So be in touch with Josh if you want to try and get that, if you haven't enrolled for it already. But you've done fantastically. And I wish you all the best and lots of success, and we look forward to hearing from you. Okay, all the best.